Governor for his speaking.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker, Assistant Speaker, sorry. Me too, Ms. Anaplong. First of all, commending Chairman Blong CLRC, going through the list of commissioners you have. Many of them are highly respected Papua New Guineans, so I wanted to just acknowledge that for the purposes of this debate. Plenty will talk me like making me suti go the same road where member Blong about me talk long him. Because a lot of these matters were canvassed during the in 2009 when Sir Michael Somare was still the Prime Minister and the Honorable Sir Pukatemu was the Deputy Prime Minister, and he was in charge of the task force responsible for doing the reviews which led to the Vision 2050. And of course, there was a second committee headed by the late Sir Barry Holloway, which looked at the arrangements in our institutions of government. Now, that report is probably collecting dust somewhere in the office of the Chief Secretary. But in any case, the issue I also struggled with when looking at the terms of reference, first of all. And so I asked myself, how were these terms of reference drafted? Because if you look at it, it's heavily skewed towards sorting out the politics. But the problem I have is that, you see, in other countries, you have a very strong public service. And it is largely accepted. And, you know, I sat in a courtroom the other day listening to the Chief Justices make comments. And the Chief Justices basically said, not the Chief Justice, the Justices said, they expect that politicians can have all kinds of unprofessional opinions. So there is that expectation which confirmed where in other countries, they expect that politicians make a kind thing. Now by not at one kind experience level of professionalism. And this is where the level of professionalism, the robustness, strong public service also building. And the expectation is that members of parliament who may not be experts themselves, if they are placed in charge of a department, then the expertise is in that department to guide the minister. Now what you find today, like every secretary of department I speak to, they tell me, sorry, you must understand, kind politics blo Papua New Guinea. Me must harim talk blo boss. And then when I go and speak to the minister, and I say, listen, and he'll be like, why not you not like talk to secretary? I said, well, the secretary said I should talk to you. And then the minister says, well, I have to talk to the boss. So everybody is passing the buck up the line. And classical example was this morning, where we had the governor of Oro talk about a storage unit for medicine in his province that someone outside of his province was supposed to be building, and they marked it up. So the system that allowed that to happen was actually not looked at by the CLRC. I would have expected the CLRC to look at the system that allows, for example, you have people in Oro, or the people of Morobe, we just heard about the problems at Angao. But the people of Morobe have no control, or the PHA has no control, the provincial government has no control over who is supplying the power. They have no control over who is supplying the medicine. In fact, they have no say. You know, the governor of Oro made a very important point this morning. In 2019, there was some very strong recommendations to fix the medicine supply problems that we have in this country. Unless I'm living in a different time zone, now I'm 25 years, so for 6 years, the recommendations of one of the committees of parliament was not implemented. Simply put, only no implemented. Heavy Public Accounts Committee looking pinis lo 2019. Only looking pinis. Only pining out pinis. Only writing lo paper na can presenting lo parliament. 6 years behind. Nobody had solved the problem.
And now?
Now lo this morning we play cross lo floor. These recommendations don't solve that issue. There are no recommendations to solve that. Of course, if we want to elect the Prime Minister directly, because Prime Minister all the time, and by Tokolsem, you know, I am held by ransom to my government MPs. The politics holds me to ransom. So Prime Minister, I'm arguing at look, Iplasoro Lomina, let's elect the Prime Minister directly. And there are merits to that argument. But then you come back to the system. If the system is not sorted out, so you got check and balance, no power, no Prime Minister, then you end up with a system where you can see in the US now, the Republican Party is trying to dismantle their court system, they're trying to dismantle their states. The arrangement they made 250 years ago, where they came together as a country, they are now trying to dismantle them. That's the way I read it. And giving the executive government overall power. In a country like ours that is so diverse, you actually need checks and balances law. Balancing also, mihamamas lo harim, Governor Paco pe mi tok. And it's always interesting when you listen to the responses of Sir Michael Somare, our founding father, the Grand Chief. All the time, talk. I need to balance the expectations of all Papua New Guineans. And this is where, you know, coming back to this, when we make some of these decisions, we cannot take into account the interest of one person or the interest of a particular protected species like members of parliament. We've got to take into account when something where by best saving all people blaming. I come back to the argument we had this morning. You know, our poor people of Morobe and the patients in Engau had absolutely no control over how power supply by Kamonogan. There was zero accountability. No check and balance that would have ensured that power supply start na this la 5 per life or how much per life here would have had an opportunity to be saved. They had no say, people of Morobe. And that same situation exists in every single province. I would have liked to see the system also being included in these terms of reference. Now, me again, those something we say, Puka bin talk Pinisla. I would have liked to see the system being sorted out. You see, in my province, me can't pass the ceiling now. The things that I cannot fix in my province, they are all national government responsibilities, all together. And every governor will tell you the same thing.
True.
When I'm something where me not of stretimia and me stretim pinis, me should really finish the parliament, I should leave in 2027. My job is done. But the problems still remain in my province, which are all national government responsibilities. Now, who said by stretim despla? I have 2 ministers in cabinet. I talk to them. They're struggling. They're fighting with other ministers and trying to resolve other issues. So, for me personally, I want to see the responsibilities sorted out. Who side I'm responsible, no, what am something, now how about you hold him, there's a man or Mary accountable? You see, if you go to other, like if you go to Australia, the members of parliament in Australia are lawmakers. In PNG, up until say 1990, members of parliament, or say 1995, were lawmakers. Today, all of us are project managers. So, mipla yet inside the parliament, mipla changing job description, blomibla. We changed it. Work blomibla am logo na building road na classroom na building bridge na am work blomibla. Lawmaking. You miss a kamsinan loyana. I want the minister Dakar na I'm reading law hapia na 5 minutes to be passing. Most of us don't even read it. So there's like lawmaking here and work law said now. Whose job is that? It's basically a job that you miss unless lawmaking, but because we have to do it, we are forced to come and do it. I have had 2 prime ministers sit in that chair, including, with respect, the current prime minister. And say, sanat na talk. You bla kisi money, bla na go to place na make it work. So there is your charter. Kissing 10 million, 5 million, whatever million, go to place na make it work. No can stop the parliament. You know, in other countries, parliament will sit for 6 months of the year. Mipla, we are struggling to make 35 days in a year. Not even 1 month, Mipla are sit down. If you add all the days, Supreme Court tried no forcing Mipla no sina namas 42 days. Forcing Mipla. 63 or 63. And we don't even make the 63. Because Mipla must run go to place na. No got workman no work in breeze, so member you must go na work in breeze. No got man no work in classroom, so member you go na work in classroom. I want to see the system fixed. And sadly, with all the good work that CLRC has done, there is nothing here to fix the system. And that is my complaint. I would like to see more checks and balances built in, and I regret that I haven't read the full report. Me too, one kind, me look so long. Summary so. If you can fix the system and strengthen the system, it doesn't matter what your politicians are doing. System by stronging. That's what happens in other countries.
Correct.
Our institutions are so weak. Now, there are people of Papua New Guinea, our institutions are weak. So, you know, if you call the ECP administrator and ask him, how much instruction Governor Bird say give you? Emba talk 0. Mipla start meeting once a month, na Governor Bird talk na finish. I don't even call the guy up. I don't call him up and say, pay this contractor or that one. The only time treasurer na Prime Minister complain na talk, ECP, you got plenty money, you plan not spend him yet. Me by ringing him and talk, please, can you spend this money so that the Prime Minister and the treasurer don't criticize me? You plus spend the bare. And then he'll say process. I say, okay, I respect your process, but you sit down and start na treasurer criticizing me to plan. Spend the money. Get things done. So this is the issue I have. And you know, I want to reduce the space between accountability and the people who need that accountability. Right now, you see, me cross one them, the Honorable William Duma now morning. Because power ema, stabanid lo, look out lungem. But the mitula brother bien, but mitla sigante. But for the people, mitula cross. One can also me sing out on the long. Walking point of water long, Minister of Long Health. And I could see that he was struggling. You know, almost all our curative services around the country only struggle to work now. Because no one marasin, regardless of what the good minister said. As the government put in 50 million, all other marasin is still come yet, some man no delivering. The fact of the matter is that our people don't have access. Service delivery is about timing. Suppose one man need him service now take him 3 days lokisim la service na dino namel, well, service delivery has failed. And that's precisely what happened in Engau. So, you got to reduce the time between who is accountable and who is going to fix it. You can't wait until all good member Blomorbe come loyana question him health minister. I would have hoped, and this is the thing I struggled with. If you have strong institutions, and I'll give you an example. Miblalo ECP, I was fortunate that time the late Honorable Malabag was in the House as health minister. I've been marking me come up chairman Blomboro Mausik. So we started work when I became governor, thanks to the goodwill of the people of ECP. The Honorable Sefuka Temu was the health minister, and I come now, implement him, PHA Blomibla. Today the ECP PHA is probably the most accountable public sector organization in Papua New Guinea. And they have qualified on their own merit to receive direct funding from donor agencies. And that's simply because we strengthen that public service organ. So M can operate like Blongem. We have professional people in there. And I come back to the point that Sepuka was making. Let's not provincialize our public service.
Yeah, very important.
You know, when we were trying to decide on who the new CEO of the ECP PHA was, all civic doctor will strike, all right, pass lumina to governor and walk lumiblaya. Wabla civic maskis is law. And I said, respectfully, I want the best person to get this job. Whether that guy is Chinese, white, from the highlands or from the coast, I don't care. Well, guess what? The board selected someone from West New Britain and is doing a tremendous job in very difficult circumstances. We have to have those kind of strong mechanisms. I had no say. I didn't go and tell them, makin deslaman or makin deslaman, and board yet only go through Lowampla professional company. No, only mark him, the best person they could find. And that person has won the confidence with the confidence of the board of people like the World Bank. So now only can access him direct funding. And this is what I see is missing across Papua New Guinea. We have very weak institutions. Too much political interference in the institutions. You may need to strong him too, so that if it's possible and if the CLRC is going to come up with the next lot of some labo work walk him. Me like him look law. Strong him, give him space. Arm's length between the politician and the person in the administration. No can let him CEO blow DDA time. Member he come na lend them, CEO sanap staff want them. Briefcase na wet law, escort him. Member I go back law place. I see that all the time. We've got to stop that. We've got to allow the professionals to do their work while we can continue our silliness here at our level. So, again, I commend a lot of what you've done. Chairman, one time all, good line blow you. But I would have preferred that there was a lot more work done on your terms of reference so that you could look at the institutional issues as well, which are totally ignored here, in my view. Thank you.